Emergency pod, OLine Committee, players only meeting, OLine Committee. Jay, you're down in Florida doing agent things. Boone is in the gym working out the next generation of offensive linemen. And so we literally just recorded our full episode a couple days ago, and like we posted, I would say within 12 hours, 3 of the most legendary coaches in recent football history are no longer coaching. Boone and I talked about Pete Carroll. Nick Saban we'll talk about. Let's start with Bill Belichick. 24 years, a quarter of a century, dude, and done with the Patriots.
My entire life, I have known nothing but Darth Vader Bill and the New England Patriots. Right, and especially growing up in Denver, and the Tom Brady, Peyton Mannings, and those dudes playing against each other nonstop, and the hoodie and the cutoffs. Like, that dude was New England, and it was weird seeing Brady in a different color. I don't know how my little brain's going to react if I see Belichick in a different cutoff hoodie. Like, it's just going to break. Like, the gears are just going to...
that little Falcons cutoff hoodie. What would be the weird... There's 8 openings right now, including Patriots.
Probably
Panthers.
Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
Probably Vegas. Or I mean, can you imagine Bill Belichick in L.A.? Like, if he went to the Chargers?
Yeah.
Like, that would be something else. Like, he goes from New England, where the field's in the middle of a field somewhere... and then you go to just downtown LA, just living in SoFi.
He's neighbors with Caleb Williams in the penthouse. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. My initial reaction was more, I mean, Boone called this, first of all. Like, way back in, like, I can't remember what it was, but he was like, I think Bill's out. And I told him he was an idiot.
We kind of shit on him for that. Yeah.
We did. We really did. And he was like, oh, we'll see. All right, we'll see. And here we are eating our words. But, I mean, my wife was even like, it had to happen. That was her reaction. She said it had to happen. I kind of disagree, and I don't know where you're at with it, but I felt like he needed one more year. Like, it's not...
To do what, though? Like,
to get a quarterback. You shot at Mac Jones and missed. It happens. It happens in this league. It happens all the time. Like, give him one more year. He's got a high pick. Let him go get a quarterback. See if he can turn this thing, right the ship. And if not, then you let him go. I just think I think it's 1 year premature, and I think people can say, like you said, for what? One more year? But dude, he's the greatest coach of all time. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
The thing is, though, if he comes back for 1 year, and they do have the 3rd pick, I was looking at some of the mocks today, like Jaden Daniels could be their guy with the number 3 pick. He probably needs more than the 1 year to try again with a new quarterback. I actually think if you're Robert Kraft, you're probably looking at this saying, hey, we are going to draft a quarterback. I don't know that I love you developing him, because the last quarterback you developed was literally 25 years, and you did a great job with Tom Brady. But that was 25 years ago. It was Tom Brady. So if you're Patriots and you're probably like, the last time they had a draft pick anywhere near this high, it was Drew Bledsoe 30 years ago. So they're looking at it saying, we're never this bad. We're going to draft a quarterback. I'm just making this up, but we're going to draft a quarterback, and I don't trust 70-whatever-year-old Bill Belichick to be the one for the next 5 years. So we have to go into direction. And if you're Bill, he has to take a job now, and I think he will. He has to take a job where
26 wins away from the all-time winner.
Don Shula, yep. And I think he's still behind George Halas for number 2. So he'd like to move up, right? I think I actually have some reckless speculation for you.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Here, let's just go right into this. I think the Falcons team is real. There's like Diana Rossini. There's some credible reports about the Falcons. And Arthur Blank, we actually talked about this on our full podcast a couple days ago. Arthur Blank is a proven winning owner in terms of 2 different times, early 2000s, and then again a few years ago with Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan and Matt Ryan. Like he's competitive. He's put together winners before. They've got the 8th overall pick, so they've got a nice little asset, nice resource. They do need a quarterback, but they've got a ton of cap space. So hear me out on this. And by the way, the reports I'm talking about are Falcons are highly interested in Bill Belichick. That's been out there since Monday.
Yep, I've been reading that too.
Belichick goes to the Falcons. You're not going to, unless you make a crazy move and go from 8 up to the top 3 or something, you're probably not in a position to draft one of the top 3 players. But they got a ton of cap space. Kirk Cousins' wife is from the Atlanta area. They got married in the Atlanta area. Her family still resides in the state of Georgia. They've got like $30 million in effective cap space. If you're Bill Belichick, you don't really want to. You're in your 70s, man. Like, I'm done with the Mac Jones and the Bailey Zappies. I could see Atlanta. I could see getting your established quarterback. Hey, you go run. We'll get an offensive coordinator in here that you can partner with. I'll focus on defense. We'll get an edge rusher. Go get Dallas Turner with the 8th overall pick. There's a puzzle there, I guess. That's my speculation for you.
No, I was actually just talking about this down here. I mean, there's scouts and stuff everywhere down here, and so I mean it's everywhere. But I was talking with Lee Smith. He was down here, old tight end for Atlanta, and then he also was in the Buffalo with me, and we were talking about this very thing. And I was like, if you think about it, it's got to just be, if Bill takes this job, it's all going to be about getting the win record, like, because that's really the last thing out there for him, right? Like what, and that's a 3-year deal. Like that's at minimum, you're talking 10-win seasons, 3 years in a row, right? It's a tough thing to do, but you're in the NFC South, right? You're in a division that isn't necessarily known for being powerhouses.
Yeah.
Right. You got Tampa, who's on the rise, but who knows what that's kind of. I mean, Evans is on his way out. Godwin might be getting released or whatever, and then you have, you're going to beat the Panthers twice a year. Right, that's a given. Yeah. And then you're going to be fighting with the Saints, which is they're also in their own kind of rebuild battle. Like, and you start looking at the pieces. You have Bijan Robinson. That's another thing you didn't even mention. Like, and then you go get Kirk Cousins. I think it makes a ton of sense,
dude.
Right? I think it makes a ton of sense for him to be the Atlanta Falcons' next head coach. I think that place would embrace him too. I think that's another thing. Bill Belichick's made a lot of enemies over the year. Right, like there's a lot of fan bases that might not want old Uncle Billy coming in there and taking the realm, right? But I think Atlanta, for me, makes the most sense because you start looking at all the other places, and you're not going to get a quarterback unless you're drafting really high. But even if you're drafting really high, I mean, dude, the weapons on that offense, I know you talked about this in our podcast. You were like, dude, they have Drake London, they have all these weapons. Like they just missed the trigger man because Desmond Ridder is not it. So you get Bill Belichick down there, get some pieces. I think the Falcons have to be it. It has to be it. There's no other option.
They need, and I think their sack leader was like 6.5 sacks too. So there's going to be 3 edge rushers sitting there, especially if 3 quarterbacks go off the board early. And I don't know, maybe there's some sort of like football gods forces where this is the coach that embarrassed you when you had a bajillion touchdown lead in the second half. Go get him to make it right now, all these years later.
So who's the GM of the Falcons? It's escaping me at the moment.
Oh, currently? Because
you have to remember who is Bill Belichick to the Patriots. He is GM.
Terry Fontenot.
He is head coach. He is all. Can Bill Belichick come into a place and relinquish some power? Right,
and he's been the GM since 2021 with Atlanta. Yeah, would he come in? And by the
Does
way,
he come
Fontenot
in
is 30 years younger than Bill Belichick. He's 43 years old.
So is he going to be bossing Bill Belichick around? Yeah. Is he going to be making the decisions? Like that's another piece that goes into this. Is Bill has had ultimate power for so long. I don't like. Is he going to be able to coexist with a 40-year-old GM? Like, can they coexist? Can they cohabitat and make decisions together, or is who worked for who? Right, that's going to be an interesting conundrum wherever Bill goes. Because, I mean, I saw something today that was like my favorite, like out there. Right here, stay with me on this one. Cowboys get bounced in the first round.
Oh, I've got this on my list.
Cowboys get bounced in the first round. Right, my pick on the podcast comes true. Packers beat them in the first round. And Jerry Jones has had enough. He's seen enough, and he fires Mike, and then Bill Belichick's the next head coach of the Cowboys.
Dude,
how about that one?
And then Bill gets to work with Micah Parsons. He gets this loaded up defense, ball hawking secondary. He gets an established quarterback. All you need is just a reliable quarterback coordinator relationship over here. Weapons all over the place. I love it, dude. I mean, Dallas. Here's my question about that though. And I would have this question too about if like let's say Dallas gets beat by the Packers. To your point, it's an embarrassing home loss. I think if that happens, Mike McCarthy's gone
for sure. He has to.
He's gone. So and then if you're Jerry Jones, where are you turning next? You already went to the established coach. There's only 2 coaches that you would then turn to: Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh's a non-starter. I don't think he would be able to work with Jerry Jones. I think it'd be a total train wreck. Would Bill Belichick be able to work peacefully for 3 years under Jerry Jones? Robert Kraft was great because Robert Kraft was kind of the good cop and just kind of
wash my hands of this.
Yep,
you do what you got to do.
Jerry wants to talk to the media. Bill Belichick is very much control the message. Don't talk to the media. Keep everything in house. Jerry Jones needs to do 5 press conferences every day, right? Like, dude, he's standing outside the locker room with reporters after every single Cowboys game. He's doing his radio show every week. Could Bill coexist with Jerry Jones?
Dude, I don't know how many people Bill can coexist with. Like, he's lived in his own entity for so long, right? Like, you used to go up to New England and you talk to players that were like, dude, I didn't realize until I left New England what like real life was, right? Like, I just lived under the Bill Belichick like regime, and that was my truth. That was my way. That was my light. Like, and until they leave, like, that's going to be the biggest thing is wherever he goes. He's a phenomenal football coach. There's no doubt about it. One of the greatest of all time. Can he change, right? How many 71-year-olds do you know that can change, right? That are like, can flip and be like, I am a different person now. I work well with everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't get like 71-year-old grandma to remember how to flip the phone on FaceTime. Like, and now you're going to say, hey, Bill, you and this person that's 50 years old as your GM, like, you two be friends, coexist, find a way to work this together. That's going to be the biggest issue wherever he goes. Yeah. Wherever he goes, it's going to be all about, can they coexist and have a healthy work relationship that doesn't bleed over into just chaos and pointing fingers and doing all of that. That will be the only downfall. If Bill Belichick fails at this, that will be the only reason why.
Yeah. Yeah, can he and does he want to even, there's questions about how well he connects with this generation of players. And I also found on The Athletic here, they've got, trying to find who actually put these odds out, but someone has like odds of where Bill could land. And the Falcons are the number one team. No team is the second most likely, where he's just done coaching. And then there's like Chargers and Commanders, and
no.
There's another team on this list though that's really interesting. And then I have a team that's not on this list to run by you, and then we can talk about Nick Saban.
Okay.
The Giants are on this list. Is there a scenario with how sideways things are going right now? Wink Martindale pieces out. What if, dude?
Hey,
what if
they mutually agreed to part ways? They mutually agreed. They came to terms.
Did that happen?
Okay. Ways. Yeah, like 2 hours after we released our pod.
What if this is like The Departed with Jack Nicholson, where you don't know where the enemies are coming from? What if Brian Daboll is told, sorry, buddy, that got really chaotic. We didn't like the way that your team took a nosedive this year, and Bill Belichick's available to come home, where he was the best defensive coordinator. He was Lawrence Taylor's hands-on coach in the 1980s.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I think Dable gets the free pass for 1 year with all the injuries, the quarterback. You don't, because if it doesn't work out with Bill and you let Brian go, who was the coach of the year just a short year ago, like, I think they have a lot of faith in Dable. I think that there's a lot of faith there. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think it's just too much of a risk to let a coach that you have faith in still walk out the door.
I just think on this subject, it does or should open up conversations, even if it's only like a 3-person trust tree at the top of the organization. It should open up some conversations about, do we like or love our current head coach? Because right now, Jim Harbaugh's out there. He just signed an agent, and Bill Belichick's out there. And I'll give you one more here, since we're speculating recklessly. You brought up the Cowboys losing this weekend.
Let's see if you have the same one. I have another speculation. Let's see if you and I are on the same wavelength here.
What if the Eagles get smoked by the Buccaneers on Monday night? What if it's embarrassing, dude? It's like Baker Mayfield is sticking that Buccaneers flag in the ground or whatever. Like, you get trounced 31-10 by the Buccaneers, and the season ends for the Eagles. The wheels have just come completely off. Nick Sirianni is exposed as a fraud or whatever. The Eagles moved off Andy Reid 10 years ago. They moved off Doug Peterson like 2 seasons after a Super Bowl, basically, right? He didn't get the 5-year grace period that some coaches get. If you're the Eagles and you're like, we wouldn't do this under any other circumstances, but Bill Belichick is available. Sorry, Nick. Really tough 2-month stretch. I know you guys were 10-1 and went to the Super Bowl last year, but like the last 2 months were a train wreck, and Bill Belichick is available.
The only reason that one in my mind doesn't work is the culture of Philly's team is have fun. You're all big personality. You're all big personalities.
Not anymore.
Let your colors show.
Do your job.
Like, you would
do your job.
Gosh, dude, that's an interesting one because for me, I feel like you would come in and you'd lose a lot of that locker room possibly, but golly, man, that defense, the young players on that defense, the things he could do. Yeah, I mean that's a very real scenario. That's a very real scenario.
I'm just saying if you're the ownership and you're watching this train wreck play out in a suite, you're in Tampa, it's 31-3 in the third quarter and you're just sitting in your suite and you're like, what do we do? What do we do? Do we run it back? How do we jolt this thing? I'm just saying, like, I feel like he is the type of legend that you would have those conversations. Who's your team?
My last speculation team here. Mason Rudolph walks into Orchard Park.
Oh my God.
And beats the Buffalo Bills.
Oh.
And now all the thing of the legendary run and everything getting put back together and figuring it out. Ownership comes out. We really weren't very happy with the Sean McDermott comments that happened a few years ago. You know, light has come out. Ken Dorsey's been gone. You know, we think maybe it's time for a change. We have a quarterback of the future in Josh Allen. We have some young players on defense. We got to get better on defense and do our things. So, Sean McDermott.
Oh,
here's your hat. What's your hurry?
Wow.
Here comes Bill Belichick. Stays in the East. You don't think Bill's vindictive enough to want to stay in the East and stick it to the Patriots?
Yeah.
And he now is the head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
Oh my gosh! It would have to be
my reckless speculation.
Because the vibes are so. I feel like the vibes are so great now in Buffalo with just the way they ended that season that it would have
but
to.
You go lose in the first round of the Steelers.
I know.
That's a Super Bowl or bust type of team right now.
Yeah, it
right,
is.
and that's what they came into the season with, and then it wasn't going well, and they fired Dorsey, and then they kind of got it back on track. But all that's for naught if you don't win the first playoff game.
And
none of that matters.
And isn't the biggest criticism or the biggest sort of like, I guess, macro thing you would say about Sean McDermott is
can't win the big one.
He got us to this point, but somebody else has to get us to the next point, right?
Ever since the 18 seconds left in Kansas City.
Oh, man.
That's my wild speculation. That's the one that's been in the back of my brain going, man, maybe it just could happen.
So, wow, that escalated into some reckless speculation there. Bill Belichick, man, 6 Super Bowl titles, 9 AFC titles, 3rd all time in head coaching wins, and we'll kind of see where he winds up.